A very good afternoon to all. Welcome to session 3 of day 2 by a very honorable speaker, Dr. Parwinder Singh from IIT Ropar, and theme for today is optimal performance through self-regulation, psychology in practice. Welcome you, sir, here. Welcome to all the audience, all the participants, and for formal welcome, I invite my colleague, Professor Rakesh Joshi, to present vote of welcome.
Good evening, all. I am Rakesh Joshi, introducer for today's session of one-week FTP program entitled Fostering Global Competencies Among Faculty During COVID-19. On behalf of our college, I would like to extend my warm welcome to everyone joining. I would like to introduce our worthy speaker for this session. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Parwinder Singh, Assistant Professor at the esteemed organization of our country, Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar, Punjab. Dr. Parwinder Singh received his PhD in Counseling Psychology from Punjab University, Patiala in 2012. His research work mainly includes devising, executing, and evaluating psychological interventions targeting different facets of maladaptive behavior. He started his career as counseling psychologist. Dr. Singh provided his services for almost 5 years in the Department of Psychology, Punjab University, Patiala. He worked so hard that he is now serving as an assistant professor at the worldwide known institute, the Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar, Punjab. In research field, he published 16 papers in journals and books and 39 papers in conferences and seminars. He qualified UGC JRF NET two times in 2005 and 2006. He also performed various administrative responsibilities such as vice principal, vice principal and HOD Arts and Social Sciences at Bebe Nanki University College, Mithila, Kapurthala, a constituent college of Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Dr. Singh has two ongoing research projects as principal investigator funded by ISIRD, IIT Ropar, and ICMR New Delhi, and one as co-principal investigator. Now, I would like to hand over this session to our respected speaker, Dr. Parwinder Singh. He will share his thoughts and experiences on the topic optimal performance through self-regulation, psychology in practice. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for the nice words. So, shall I share my screen, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
So, very good afternoon to all of you. So, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizing committee of this program, and especially Dr. Mamta ji, who gave this opportunity to interact with you all, right? So I'm grateful to Dr. Mandeep Singh and Dr. Satwant Kaur also. Like it's a as I mentioned that it's a two-way learning always. So, I hope we all will add something to our knowledge base today, right? So, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. So, one thing before I start, I would like to mention here that as we teach our students, right, that for effective learning, our mind should be oriented in a particular direction, right? For each kind of learning in a specific domain, we have to orient our mind in a particular direction, right? So for this particular interaction that we are going to have in next 1.5 or 2 hours, I want all of you to keep it in mind that today we are going to discuss a phenomena which is really very complex, right? We are going to talk about human behavior, the most complex thing in the world. We can predict each and everything that how what thing may happen in the future, but behavior is difficult to predict, right? And changing the behavior is the current theme. How we can change our behavior. So my request to all of you is that orient your mind that we are going to catch certain hints, cues that may be personally relevant to you, right? Personally relevant to initiate a change process, right? Initiate a change process, right? So with this orientation in mind, with this focus in mind, that from each and every slide we will get something, we will get something which may help you to practice change, right? Which I said is a very difficult thing to conduct, right? So to facilitate this orientation, I want all of you, I request all of you, rather, that please try to make a list of 5 to 6 words, 5 to 6 statements, right? Which you find new, right? Which you think that can help you in the times to come, right? So I request all of you once again that please make a list of, after this session, or during the interaction also you can do that. So 5 to 6 statements that a new learning happen, right? So what are those five or six things that you are learning today, right? So this is one way of keeping your mind uh, focused in some aspects, right? So with this orientation mind, we will start, and I'm sure that you will learn something, right? You will learn one or the other thing. So at least you will learn after this session that we should not teach like Dr. Parwinder, right? So that is the least thing you will learn. So that is also learning, right? So learning is not the thing that what to do, what not to do is also a learning. So whatever you learn today, please make a list. We may discuss in the last, right? Or we somehow I'll get to know that what are those things that you learn, right? So I think we should start with this. And today's objective of this talk is that I'll try to sensitize you about role of psychological variables in realizing one's potential, right? With specific emphasis, I mean, we will discuss the optimal performance, as the title states, the motivation, emotional regulation, right? And if time allows, I'll be discussing something about stress and its management, and something about critical thinking also. So here I want all of you to please pay attention to this sensitized word, right? So I believe that these lectures, these discussions are to sensitize us about something else, right? So in a 2 hours interaction or 1 hour interaction, change is not feasible, right? So the ultimate aim of these programs, FDPs or other things, is to make you aware about the change required, right? So here also, this lecture also will try to sensitize you, will make you aware that what need to be done, okay, what is required from my side to perform optimally, right? So I'm not saying that after this lecture your behavior will be changed or your performance will be optimal, but I'm sure that after this lecture you will be sensitive enough that you can start thinking of initiating that change, right? There is one theory in psychology by Prochaska that people are not change is difficult because people are not able to move from pre-contemplation stage to contemplation stage. They are not even thinking that change is required. That is the maximum hurdle. That is the foremost hurdle, that we are not thinking that change is required, right? So I am here just to make you make a shift from pre-contemplation to contemplation, and there are further stages also that need to be completed in order to complete that change process, right? So from this lecture we will take a lesson, and lesson will be helpful only if we do homework, right? This is what we teach to our students, right? So same applies to us also, right? So we are here to take a lesson, and we will implement that lesson at home, right? Or in the times to come. Only then this lecture would be beneficial to all of us, right? So let me start this lecture with this metaphor, right? As you can see that this pool, you can say it's a pool of potential that we all have, right? So more or less we all have this potential to perform, right? And this pool is generated from various sources. For example, your formal education, informal education, your parents taught you something, you observe something. So through these resources this potential is made, this pool is made, right? More or less we all are similar, right? As far as amount of potential is concerned, right? Nature of potential may vary, right? So we are differently talented, right? We are differently talented. I may not be good in teaching, right? You may be very good at teaching, right? So someone else is good in research, someone else is good in both. So nature wise this potential vary, but the amount of potential we all more or less we all have this same. But where then individual differences emerges, individual differences emerges due to these loopholes. As you can see, these loopholes, these weaknesses may drain out this potential, right? I hope you are getting that this potential more or less is same, but there are different factors, controllable and uncontrollable factor, which may deplete these potential, right? So these are some factors are controllable, some are uncontrollable. Uncontrollable we can't do much about, right? But we, yes, for sure we can do something about the controllable ones, right? So among other factors I will discuss some controllable factors here. So initially, why my potential is not converted into the optimal performance? First factor responsible is poor decision making. So this decision making may be uh, related to your critical decisions like career and marriage. These two are considered the critical decisions you make, and It may include your routine decision also, like daily activities you do, the purchases you do. So if you are not able to make your decisions properly, then chances are there that your potential may not convert into your performance, right? So regarding this decision making, I would like to mention here that uh, we have been listening from our seniors that man is a rational animal, right? But let me tell you that most of our life decisions are made irrationally or partially irrational, right? Because decision making is a cognitive activity. It requires a cognitive load. It demands a cognitive load, but we don't want to spend that much load. We use shortcuts. We are influenced by biases, right? So we are not able to make these decisions rationally, and through these irrational decisions, we we get our potential drain out, right? Which should have been converted into performance, which is drain out. But I'm not being pessimistic here. Let me tell you, I'm not being pessimistic here. Decision making, no doubt, if decision making is appropriate, then life would be a bit smooth. Your performance will be almost all right. But what happens is after decision making, uh, if your decisions are not appropriate, then chances are there that you will experience stress, right? You will experience interpersonal issues. For example, you could not decide your career appropriately, right? So what would happen? Your job would be stressful, right? So if you are able to manage that stress, then the damage happened due to this decision making can be worked out. Got it? So if you are able to manage your stress even after wrong decisions, then you will perform well. But what happens is after after poor decision making, the stress that is generated from that decision making, we are not able to handle that stress, and that further exaggerate this problem of conversion, this problem of converting potential into performance. Further, poor interpersonal relationships, it add more problems to our to our work environment or our interpersonal or our personal lives, right? So more there are other factors, for example lifestyle factors, so our habits, right? What we considered as good habits or bad habits, so it may add to this problem of problems which prohibits you to perform you optimally, right? Additionally, faulty assumptions, rules, and core beliefs are another reasons that stop you to perform up to your potential. Right? I will some of these factors I will discuss in detail in some subsequent slides. Right. So similarly, uh, unrealistic goals, poor emotional regulation. These are few factors which deplete your potential, right? And your task now is to be aware that what are these factors. You may be having one or more factors that is not helping you to perform optimally, right? And all these factors are leading to one very dangerous phenomenon, that is dissatisfaction with one's current performance, behavior, and or outcome, right? And this dissatisfaction is the main culprit, is the main factor, main determinant of all your psychological issues. So I hope you are understanding, hope you are getting it, that these factors are not just hampering your performance, but these factors are leading to your psychological issues also, right? So from this slide, you have to identify what are those factors. What are those factors uh, which are causing a barrier, right? Which are stopping you to perform maximally, right? So identification is the first stage of change, right? Understanding is the first stage of change. Unless or until you understand that where is the problem, you will not be able to you will not be able to rectify it, right? So whether you are not able to manage your stress, or your interpersonal relationships are poor, or your lifestyle habits are not working well, right? Faulty assumption, rules, core beliefs. Sometimes regarding core beliefs, sometimes I have this self concept that I am an incompetent person. So this particular belief that I am incompetent person will not help you to realize your potential, right? So such factors, you please note it down, that what are those factors, right? And one more thing, here all these factors are controllable factors, fortunately, right? All these factors we can control. Uncontrollable factors I am not describing here. So these are controllable factors, right? So you can learn to rectify these issues. Stress management you can learn. Interpersonal relationship you can learn. Lifestyle factors you can change. Decision making to some extent you can make it rational, right? For example, one error in decision making is that you don't take context into consideration while making decisions, right? So you only on one basis you make any decision. For example, you went to buy your clothes. Simple example, I'm not talking about critical decisions. To buy clothes, buy a shirt, right? So which factor you are considering while buying it? Its color, right? Its stuff, its price, or what? So if you are just just looking at its color, it's very bright, or it is looking very nice, then if your decision is based only on one element of that factor, then after that you may repent on it. For example, when you wear it and it's not comfortable, then you will see that how where your decision went. So all factors should be considered while making a decision. Same applies to career also, applies to marriage also. Only one factor, and note the context if you are taking, then chances are there that decision might be wrong. But there's no, it's not a hopeless situation. Even after making poor decisions, if other factors you are doing good at, for example, stress management and all that, then you can uh, cover that mistake, right? So let's move to next thing. So optimal performance. So as I mentioned earlier, and keep it in mind that to change we need to understand something. To change a phenomena, you need to understand its various ingredients, right? What constitute that performance, right? So according to one theory, one model in psychology, we take this stand that there are three direct determinants of our performance. Performance, whatever you do, right? Whatever you do to achieve your goal, that is a that is a your performance, right? So any behavior which leads to goal achievement, that is a performance. So how this performance is determined, right? I hope you are getting that why I'm discussing these factors, because understanding is the first stage to change anything. And quickly I'll move through this slide, that there are three factors that determine your performance, and these are direct determinants: declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge and skills, and motivation. So declarative knowledge means the factual knowledge you have. This you acquire from formal education. Right? What is required to perform a task? Knowing information about a job or job task. Second component is procedural knowledge and skill. knowing how to perform a job or task. When you do practicals, when students do practical or internship, they are they are acquiring this procedural knowledge and skills, right? And third is motivation. We are biased, we as psychologists are biased toward motivation, and we always give more weightage to this motivation because we believe that declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge, even if you are very good at declarative knowledge, very good at procedural knowledge, but if you are not, if you are not motivated enough, then your performance is not going to be very good, right? This statement this is not my statement, right? This is a theory which says that these factors are related to each other in a very beautiful manner. That is, multiplicative relationship is there between these three. So if any one factor is zero, then performance is going to be zero, right? So if declarative knowledge is less, if you don't know what is required to perform a task, you there will be no performance, right? If procedural knowledge is less, so you know, when you know that you know what is required to perform a task, but you don't know how to perform a task, then there will be no no good performance. And importantly, if you know everything, what is required and how to perform a task, but you are not motivated to do, then your performance will be zero. That is why we say that it is not declarative knowledge or procedural knowledge which is more important. Because you see, all those who smoke, they know that smoking is dangerous, right? They have sufficient knowledge. They know that it leads to cancer, right? They know how to quit. That centers are there, quitting for 21 days or something. Some activities are there. They know, but still they are not able to resist that. Those that may be not appropriate example of performance, but I'm just trying to explain the importance of motivation. That how motivation uh, is leading to my performance. So from this slide, this particular slide, you have to understand that if you think that your performance is not optimal, then try to figure out where you are lacking at, right? Whether declarative knowledge is less, so go through some formal education or learn something. If procedural knowledge is less, do something to acquire that procedural knowledge. Or if you both are you at both level, declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge and skill, you are very good at, then what is the reason? The reason may be motivation. Then look at this motivation element, right? So these are three direct determinants of performance. There are other indirect determinants also. So this intelligence, personality, interest, job satisfaction, co-workers behavior, these are indirect determinants of behavior. Why I'm calling it indirect determinants? Because these factors are not directly affecting your performance. These are affecting the earlier three direct determinants. Intelligence will determine how much declarative knowledge or to what extent, what kind of declarative knowledge you can acquire, right? Your personality will determine the motivation, right? Interest will determine motivation. Co-workers' behavior will not affect your performance directly, but it will affect the motivation, right? So these are indirect determinants of behavior. Right. So same thing is depicted in this graphical representation, that you can see that declarative knowledge multiplied by procedural knowledge multiplied by motivation will lead to performance. But here, the declarative knowledge you can get through various books, through teachers, through somebody who is knowledgeable enough, right? Procedural knowledge you will get to know, you will get through practice, right? Through experience, right? So here I am focusing on the motivation aspect, right? So motivation decide your choice to perform. Motivation decide your level of effort and persistent of effort, how much, how consistently you will follow an act, will be decided by motivation, right? And let me tell you that I'm not going to make it a motivational seminar that how to get motivation, but my assumption is there that if we know something, we can try to change, right? If we know what is motivating me, what is motivating me, right? Generally, when we say we got invitation from schools that please come and motivate our child to study. So in 1 hour lecture, we can only use one technique, that is verbal persuasion, right? But more much many other things are required to motivate someone. What are those things that are required to motivate someone? Why why I'm not influenced by some verbal persuasion, right? Because there are other things which determine my motivation. It is not that if somebody is very good at motivating, or he or she using very different kind of language, well, I mean very impressive language or something, so for the time being I may get motivated. But motivation is not a short term phenomena. You have to be persistent, right? Persistence of effort will come when we know what will make me motivate, right? So what are those ingredients, prerequisites to motivation, right? So let's discuss about it. So as I said, these 5 things are required to be motivated or to motivate someone, right? So first is competence. Why I will perform, right? Why I will do one task and not other, right? Why uh, I will continue doing that, why I'll maintain my behavior, right? These 5 factors decide whether someone will be motivated to do anything or not. The first factor is competence. Competence may refer to both kind of competence, real competence and perceived competence. Right? It is observed that perceived competence, even if you are not that competent, but if you are believing that you can do something, right, then chances are there you will start that activity. And once you start the activity, learning happens automatically, and that learning will make you competent. I hope you are getting it right. So, real competence and perceived competence, if you compare, then perceived competence may have an edge over it, right? So, if you believe that you are capable of doing something, then you will start something, right? And once you start something, then that experience, that learning, chances are there that you that will make you competent, right? Not that much competent, but you at least you will be able to complete that task. Initially, there might be some mistakes, there might be some errors, right? But will uh, that uh, uh, errors will decrease over the period of time, right? So first thing is competence, that belief that we are capable of doing something. You must have heard about Albert Bandura in psychology, right? He says that there are 3 or 4 factors through which you can enhance someone's competence. He used self-efficacy word. So how you can motivate yourself or someone else? That first factor is through personal accomplishment. Even a small achievement, right, will make you believe that you can do something, right? So whenever someone comes for counseling, so we give a simple task, right? For example, a depressed patient comes, so we just ask them to clean your cupboard, right? To clean your almirah, one drawer or your almirah only you have to do in a day. So that minimal task, we observe that it gives them a feeling of accomplishment, that yes, I have done something. So I'm just giving an example, right? So this small accomplishment, if it can help a depressed person to overcome their depression, then to the normal person like us, right? So personal accomplishment may work wonder, right? So try to make make some goals for a day, for each day, and during night just realize how much, just recollect that what you have done and what is remaining. So that accomplishment, personal accomplishment, may give you that perceived competence that yes, I can do something. Like as I said, verbal persuasion can be used. So this is the one technique only, and generally we get this notion that through verbal persuasion someone can motivate. So you see the uh, how much how many things are required to motivate someone, right? Third thing, to enhance someone's competencies, the modeling or social learning. I get competence, I get this belief that I can do while observing someone. If someone is doing a task, right, I am observing them. So that observation, that if he or she can do it, then why can't I? So this is one source where you can help yourself, right? If you are not able to perform a task, for example, you have some stage phobia or something, right? So to overcome this problem and get optimize your performance, you can observe others speaking in a large gathering, right? So that will definitely help you, not fully, but it will add something to it, right? Why I'm saying not fully, because other things we also need to take care of, right? So first thing is competence, that is first ingredients, prerequisites of requisite of motivation, right? Second factor is autonomy or control. I will not be motivated to do anything unless or until i can I can have some control over the situation, right? So if your boss is giving you responsibility or control over something, you'll be motivated to do that task, right? Right. So if you are in charge of something, so when we make in charges of something, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to give them responsibility, right? Responsibility and power and control to do few things on their own. So that is really a motivating factor for some, right? For sure. There are some exceptional cases also, right? So similarly, instrumentality. I will not be motivated if I feel that my efforts are not correlated to the outcome. So what I am doing, and uh, uh, it is causing or it is related to a certain outcome. If that instrumentality is low, I will not be motivated, right? So that's why to our students we always relate their effort with the outcome, that you did this, that's why it happened. So when I'm able to see that correlation, that due to my exercising, my weight is lost, right? I lost some weight. Exercise is related to weight loss. Until or unless I feel that, then uh, otherwise I will not be exercising at all, right? So just an example, for example, right? So you have to show, you have to prove yourself that this thing, this effort is related to that outcome. Instrumentality has to be there. And next one is the obvious factor, that if you are interested in task. Interested means what? Interested means when you feel that its value is worth the effort, right? Its value is worth the effort to complete it. So whatever I'll do, I'll put my effort. After putting my effort, what will be the outcome? If that outcome is worth, okay, is useful to you, then you will do it. And then last is the relatedness. You will not be motivated to do a thing, okay, for which you are not feeling related to, right? If that sense of relatedness is less, then chances are there that either you will not start any activity, or you will not persist in that activity, right? So these are five ingredients. So from this slide, you have to see that which factors are stopping you to do something, right? And to a student also, whenever you want to motivate someone, you have to you have to work on all these factors. You have to give some autonomy to them. You have to show them the instrumentality, right? You have to show them the value. You have to do something through which they feel related to that task, right? And competence is there always, right? So there is another phenomena which I find very interesting, that if you can make someone to answer yes to all these three questions, then you are successful in motivating someone. So if a person thinks that with effort, if the question is, if with effort can I perform? If answer is yes, then first step is clear that he'll be motivated to do something. With performance, will I be rewarded? Will my performance will be rewarded? If yes, then he'll do something. Do I value the rewards? Right? So, do I value the rewards? The reward I am getting, are these valuable to me? Right? You cannot motivate a child by giving a chocolate, right? To a child giving a chocolate, that child doesn't like chocolate, right? So for that child who doesn't like chocolate, you cannot motivate them by giving a chocolate, right? This is just an example I'm giving. So, what kind of rewards should I give to that person? So that also a matter of we should think about it, right? I will discuss it this thing later on in some subsequent slides, right? So, with for motivation, yes is required. Ask yourself, whatever you are going to do, right? Do you feel that with effort can I perform? With exercising, can I lose weight? Right? So if I lose weight, will I get rid of all the diseases, right? So something like that, right? So do I value the word? If I am free of all diseases, does it will it add something to my life, right? So such kind of thing you have to think about, right? Same thing mentioned here. Just skipping it. So same thing, effort. Will my effort lead to performance, and will my performance lead to the outcome which is positive for me? Right? Outcome may be many, but if that outcome is positive for me, then I'll be motivated to do that task. So this is very common theory or model, you can say, that you all must be aware of. I don't know, because I cannot interact with you, that whether should I say something about it or should I skip it. So let me just give a 2 minutes on it. So this is Maslow's need hierarchy theory, which says that a person will be motivated if he or she is getting rewards as per their need level, right? We all are at different steps, right? Somebody may be trying to satisfy their physiological needs only. You cannot motivate that person through esteem or rewards related to their esteem, right? So I am just reframing this theory toward this motivational context, right? So what is required to motivate someone? First of all, you need to be aware that at what level that person is, whether he's struggling for their physiological needs or safety needs. social and belongingness needs, esteem needs, or self-actualization, right? So which level he or she is working at. If your reward, if your whatever is motivating him, if it matches with their needs level, then chances are there he will be more motivated, right? So some you must be aware that Maslow said that the first need we are motivated to fulfill is physiological need. When we fulfill this need partially or to some extent, these physiological needs are met, then I start thinking about these safety needs. And when to some extent safety needs are satisfied, then I start thinking about social and belongingness need. So a person who is not able to fulfill their physiological needs, he is not sure whether tomorrow or in next 1 year he'll be able to manage their physiological need. How can you give them something which is related to their esteem needs? He will not be happy with the status, social status you give as a reward. He'll be more happy if you give them something which is satisfying their physiological needs, right? So when Maslow made this theory, this hierarchy, he considered this physiological need at the utmost importance, right? The most important. And sometimes I feel that if in today's world, and especially in the current pandemic, if Maslow has to make this theory, he would have uh, he would have give importance to Wi-Fi first. So it is more than physiological needs now these days. Just on a lighter note. So Wi-Fi is the requirement. I think that is that is more important now these days for youngsters, for those who use mobile and addicted to mobile. So Wi-Fi is the primary need now these days. So last slide on motivation, right? That's a really interesting phenomena, right? I'm trying to highlight this flow state. So if you want to be motivated or if you want to perform optimally, you have to find your flow state. Flow state means a mental state, right? When you are fully immersed in a feeling, or you are fully enjoying that activity. You are totally involved in that activity, right? So when this flow will happen, when the challenges, the tasks, the things you are trying to achieve, and your skills both are at high level, right? So this flow is can be understood through various perspectives, right? So flow can also be understood through a concentration. When you will concentrate, right? Only when your skills, when the task you are doing is challenging and you are skillful enough to do that, right? So try to understand this figure, that if your skills are low and challenges are high, then what would be the your state, mental state? Anxiety, right? So you will be anxious. On the other hand, when skills are high but challenges are low, you will feel bored. Okay? If both are low, you feel apathic. You will not be motivated to do anything. But when challenges are high and skills are also high, then you will be in flow state. Got it? You will be in flow state. So when you are in flow state, you completely lose your sense of space and time. You completely lose that orientation, right? So you can see now this 2 hours lecture might be looking very long to you, but when we enter a cinema, then 3 hours movie, we don't know how 3 hours passes, right? So at that stage is what that you are enjoying that activity, right? You are fully energized to what's that, right? You are fully involved in that activity, right? So involvement can be inserted in all kind of activities. Just there is need to orient your mind, right? If you orient your mind, you can be fully involved in some activity. Why we are not involved? Because we have not given a target to our mind to focus at, right? Your mind should be always on searching mode, right? Search for knowledge, that let me be vigilant and totally on searching mode, that I have to look for something which will be beneficial, like which will be personally relevant. So that's how we learn, right? So this flow state is also one requirement, which will make you motivated, which will keep you motivated, right? So next thing that I'm going to discuss, as if you remember the previous slide, the objective slide, the optimal performance, what are the barriers we discussed, right? And then uh, this motivation, why motivation is important, right? So what will make us motivate? So that we discussed. Now the third element that I'm going to discuss is very close to my. I'm biased toward it. I always give very much importance to this emotion and its regulation, right? And sometimes this bias comes from the fact that we all have very misconceptions about these emotions and its regulation. So some of you must agree to me that emotions are generally considered a negative phenomena. It is a destructive one. Since time immemorial, we have been told to control our emotions, isn't it? Right. So emotions are not just a negative feeling, not just a negative phenomenon, not just a destructive thing, right? Let me tell you, if emotions are not there, then you will not survive for long. You will not be able to adapt to your environment, right? So these misconception has to be, no doubt. I'm not saying emotions are not destructive. It's not untrue that emotions hamper our performance, but are we aware of the positive side of these emotions? Right? Emotion, do you know? Emotion means emotion, which makes you move, which makes you move. Emotions are motivational in nature. Without emotions, you cannot decide what to do. Emotions help you to excite you to behave in a particular way, right? Emotion energize you, right? If emotions are not there, your body will not be ready to fight or flight, right? You must be aware of this fight or flight phenomena, right? So emotion is not just a negative feeling; it has a positive component also. It motivates you. So let's see what this. As my assumption is that to change anything, to regulate anything, we should understand what these emotions are, right? So let's see how emotions are important, right? So without emotion, you cannot prepare yourself for the action, right? So these are your response tendencies. Got it? So emotions prepare us for action. Without emotion, you cannot act. So emotions regulate your social interactions. Regulation facilitate communication non-verbally. So many things, right? So emotions shape our behavior. Your behavior is determined by the way you emote, right? So emotions are the determinants, one of the determinants of your behavior, right? So let's get into some more detail of it. Really, uh, you see that emotions, it's a component of affective subsystem, right? I don't want to get into this technical jargon, but just understand that emotions are your antenna, right? Your antenna, which are constantly searching that what is good for me, what is bad for me, good for me, bad for me, right? What is good for me, what is bad for me. So this valuation is one component of affective subsystem, good for me, bad for me discrimination. And this emotion is one component of that affective system. Once you make a decision that this thing is good for me, you will feel positive emotion and react accordingly. Once you see this is bad for me, you decided that this phenomenon is bad for me, right? Then your behavior is directed toward another direction. See, this emotion is deciding which way to go. And as I said, that emotions are no doubt sometimes are irrational. Why irrational? Because we are not able to make that judgment appropriately that whether this is good for me or bad for me. To good for me, we say bad for me. To bad for me, we say good for me. In that case, our emotions hinder our performance, right? So second bullet point, if you can see that emotions give priority to one concern over other. It helps you to decide which act is it priority number one, right? It gives that concern the urgency. It gives you a sense of urgency that this thing should be dealt at the first hand. This is the priority number one, right? So, for example, if we are crossing the road and nearly get run over, just a truck passes very close to us, right? Then suddenly, what happens? Our concern for self-preservation takes priority. At that time, we forget each and everything, whatever stress, whatever thing you have in mind. At that time, the self-preservation becomes your priority. And who is making this self-preservation priority? Fear. And fear is one of the basic emotions, right? And if someone demeans us, so we feel angry, right? Anger is another basic emotion. So why you become angry? Because your mind is saying that it is urgent to concentrate on the wrong that has been done to us. So emotion is directing you, right? So these are few negative emotions. Both examples are from somewhat negative emotions. Negative in the sense that it may uh, uh, lead to some destructive behavior, right? But but try to understand that or positive emotion also do the same thing, right? So it is indicating our mind that something is wrong, we should do something about it, otherwise you will not survive. So fear will make you fear, anxiety or anger start the fight or flight phenomena in your body, right? So because of these emotions only, you got more energy either to fight or flight, right? So very interesting observation by his holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, right? You must be uh, it's a very interesting fact that Dalai Lama is personally working with one of the psychologists who works in the area of emotion, like Paul Ekman. You must have heard about it. He talks about basic emotions, and they have created an atlas of emotion. You can go through their website. It is like atlas of emotion only, right? In that atlas of emotion, Dalai Lama claims that as if in order to find the new world, we needed a map, right? And in order for us to find a calm mind, we need a map of our emotions. This map will help us to be aware of our emotions. That's why they created Atlas. It's a very beautiful website they have created with each and every emotion explained, fully explained, with some strategies to deal with those emotions. So I request all of you to please go through that website. It will really help you in understanding many things about emotions. So why I included this statement in my presentation is the second thing, that awareness of our emotions. Sorry, awareness itself is a strategy to regulate one's emotions. Right. So as I earlier said, that understanding is required. So His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama is saying that awareness is required initially, that uh, uh, how my emotions are being triggered, what they feel like, and how they respond, right? How they are triggered, what they feel like, and how we respond to our emotions. So awareness itself is a strategy. It helps us understand our emotion experiences. We do not want to get rid of our emotions. See, we have been told that to get rid of our emotions, right? He's saying we do not want to get rid of our emotions. We want strategies that help us respond in a helpful, constructive way, right? So this is a takeaway, a message that awareness is a strategy, right? So my intention in this lecture throughout is to make you aware about the the processes that are going on in our mind, right? Why I'm not able to be motivated enough, why I'm not able to perform well. So just to sensitize you, right? So from this, take this message that awareness itself is a strategy, right? So awareness about how, what are my emotions, how they are being triggered, how, what they feel like, and how we respond, right? There are many mental disorders which originates from this uh, lack of awareness about our emotional experiences. Many such disorders are there, which are the only reason for their for only reason for these for their problem is that they are not able uh, they are not able to understand their emotions, right? So one of is alexithymia. You must be aware of alexithymia is one of them, and many other. Almost all mental health issues have some component of emotion dysregulation, right? Emotion dysregulation, right? So let's see what else is there to understand about emotions. So I hope you can see this phenomena. So as uh, mentioned in previous slides, that we need to understand how my emotions are working. So if you can figure out, you can see that the center line of circles, the center circle is trigger, and next circle is state. Most of the individuals, many of us, understand emotion in these two circles only. That there was some trigger, that's why I experienced this emotion. He or she said something to me, that's why I got angry, right? I failed, that's why I am feeling sad, right? So we understand these two components of our emotional experience, that there was some trigger and there was some outcome, right? But try to understand that trigger itself may not be that important to activate your state, activate your activate your physiological response. Okay? This trigger is made up of three things. Trigger is made up of three things. One is the event, another is perception database, third one is precondition. When you are in emotional arousing situation, yeah, emotional eliciting situation, we tend to ignore the other elements, the precondition and perception database. We just focus on the event. Does this event happen? That is why I'm feeling this experience. If you start feeling that there might be other reasons, other things which is causing me to to experience a negative emotion, chances are there that you will not react in that in the same manner as if you would have reacted when you say that this event is responsible for my emotional experiences. Now let's understand what this precondition and perception database is. Perception database is your you can understand in a simple manner that it's your memory about events that happened in the past, right? Similar events that happened in the past. Precondition is your mental condition, mental set at that time, right? For example, if someone says something to you which hurts you, right, and you are saying that his words are hurting me, right? So chances are there, and now do some experiment in your real life, right? So when precondition is favorable and perception database is also favorable, then whether that event is making same amount of impact. For example, you are in a good mood, right? You got a very good news in the morning, right? You got promotion, you got a paper published, you got something, right? And then somebody says something to you. So will it make a same impact uh, uh, as when in other condition where you didn't have your breakfast, right? Another day you didn't have your breakfast on the way to your college, you you were uh, there was much very traffic, right? Very stressful situation was there, uh, weather was not appropriate, and then you come to your college and somebody is saying something. So will your reaction be the same? No, right? So do you consider precondition and perception database while reacting to some emotional situation? If you are doing it, then it's fine, right? If you are not doing it, always try to understand that whether the event I am making that event responsible for my emotional reactions, whether actually that event is responsible, or could it be avoided, right? So always try to understand that mm, single event cannot trigger your emotion unless or until you are vulnerable, you are weak. Vulnerable, when you will be vulnerable, when you are feeling hungry, you will feel more anger, right? When you didn't sleep properly in the previous night, and somebody in the morning is saying something to you, then obviously that would add, right? But we never attribute our emotion to that lack of sleep, to that hunger, right? We attribute to something which is very much physically in front of us, and we put all the load on his shoulder. So that is one way to understand that how emotions are working, right? And it is sure that event only may not be sufficient to act as a trigger, right? So this trigger perception database, sorry, I forgot to mention that perception database is your earlier experiences. You always you have a mental set, you have a cognitive schema about each and every event, about each and every person, right? When you enter a restaurant, that restaurant schema is activated. You know how to behave in that restaurant. right? So that perception database is helping you to, right? When you enter a temple or gurudwara, you know what to do. You cover your head, you remove your shoes outside, right? That perception database is helping you to do that. Similarly, for all events, right, there is some perception database, and if you are being influenced by that perception database, then you are not able to appraise the situation which is in front of you. You are not able to evaluate the situation in a fresh manner. You are doing with mental set. This person used to say such words. This person is like this only. So with a particular mental set, you are entering it into an emotional experience. So that is again hampering your performance, right? Because once you arouse, once you are your emotional experience is full on, then it will hamper your performance, right? Because it will take some cognitive load, and that cognitive load you may not apply to other productive activities, right? So message from this first four circle is that whenever you are enter a situation, first of all remind yourself that I'm trying to regulate my emotions, right? I'm trying to regulate my emotions. So whatever is happening, try to understand whether it is a precondition or perception database. When precondition is rule out, perception database rule out, only event is there which you think, then your emotion is totally. You can say that. Then you can say that this event is causing uh, my these emotions. Then that event is responsible. Then now you need to understand that how to deal with that event, right? Got it? So after trigger, the state aroused. State is again consists of three aspects: the psychological changes, which is the feeling part; physical changes, bodily changes; and then your reactions. Your reaction can be constructive action or destructive action, right? That you need to decide which action you want. And while deciding what are the constructive action, what are the destructive action, you have to remind yourself that it is going to affect your post condition, right? If some constructive action you are planning to do, then post condition will be also a constructive one. If destructive action you are planning to follow, then post condition will also be destructive one. And post condition is relevant to you only, not to that target, right? It's going to affect you, not the target, right? So this is how our emotions generally works, right? Step one, step two, step three, step four, step five. This post condition is now ready to be a precondition for some other emotional experience, the subsequent emotional interaction, right? So if it is destructive one, then chances are there that someone else small remark may uh, may do may trigger your another reactions. And if it was constructive one, then it is going to help you only, right? So this is what we try to understand. We try to make understand that how emotions are working, right? So same example, we can see that, for example, a friend gets angry with you, right? The normal reaction is that you feel anger, right? And anger will lead to your responses that you will argue. That is somewhat destructive action, right? So that a friend gets angry with you, and you realize that you are low on sleep. The last night you could not sleep well, or you are reminded of a bully. That you realize that this friend who is getting angry with me is activating my memory, my earlier memory, right, of a bully, right? So you realize that my current situation, my current position is not due to the friend only. There are other preconditions, perception databases also that responsible for my anger, right? That may be triggering my anger. Then your response maybe somewhat, maybe slightly change, right? And I'm just giving these examples, and it's not a full emotional regulation course, right? There are many other things to do also while considering this, but this is just a hint, right? Just a hint to sensitize you, right? So when you consider all these elements into picture, when you consider all the context into picture, then chances are there that you might argue or you might try to pacify him, right? You will have another perspective, right? So that is what small technique that we can use to regulate our emotions, right? Similarly, if you can understand this graph, it is looking very tedious, but there is nothing new. Two things I wanted to highlight. That's why I put this graph here, put this figure here. So, for example, some event is happening, which is emotional eliciting situation, right? And then second step, you do appraisal, right? You do appraisal. Appraisal further decide your three action potentials, you can say, right? Your appraisal is deciding your action readiness, your affect is your valuation, and the bodily arousal, right? So you see, one thing which I wanted to highlight is that event directly is not uh, impacting action readiness, affect, or arousal. It is going via appraisal. Appraisal is your cognitive change, how you are assigning meaning to an event, right? So, for example, something happened in a program, in a gathering, and you perceived it as a threat to your self-esteem. Then you would react accordingly, right? And if you perceive that event as an accident, right, not done intentionally by anyone, then your reaction would be different, right? So this appraisal is making you feel good or bad, right? Second thing I wanted to show you that these regulation processes, uh, these regulation processes, they come into play when you uh, when you through appraisal, these three factors are activated. Regulation that how much arousal do you have, how much, what kind of affective judgment you make, how much ready you are with the action, and what kind of action. Then these three things will lead to behavior. Behavior is how you react in that situation. So I hope you are understanding that if you can put a check on appraisal step, then you can modify the situation. And always remember, you are doing this appraisal for your benefit, right? We are not trying to save another person who is target, another event who is target, right? Because the post condition, post behavioral condition is going to impact you only, not the target, right? So emotion regulation. So many questions psychologists ask, and uh, we have been trying to understand that what exactly should be done. So how should we manage our emotions? Should we attend to them or disregard them? Right? Esteem them or condemn them? Encourage them or suppress them? Some says that we should suppress our emotion. Some says that we should express our emotion. What is the exact way? What exactly we should do? Right? So one thing is clear, that we should not suppress them, or we should express them in a regulated manner, right? If expression stage come in the last, If you are able to control that emotion in the first stage only, then expression or suppression may not be required, right? So each culture answer these questions differently, right? So in some culture they say that you should suppress them. In some culture they say that we should express them, we should condemn them. Emotions are to be controlled properly, right? In some religion also they say that you should condemn them. Emotions are our enemies, right? So what kind of answer we should have? Each culture answer these questions differently, but there is a common theme that we need to exert some measure of control over our emotion, right? So just a bit second component, second factor we can address, that emotion regulation refers to the processes by which individuals influence which emotion they have, when they have them, how they experience and express these emotions. So now, as we are targeting emotions, you should know what you are supposed to do. You need to understand, right, which kind of emotions are helpful to me, which kind of emotions are harmful to me, right? When we should have them, how we should experience them, and should we express these emotions or not, right? So this one model I would like to uh, explain here, that this slide should have come earlier, before on this slide. This situation selection, sorry, the process model of emotion. This is a process model of emotion regulation, right? So it says that there are five chances, five stages where you can regulate your emotion. Understand? So first is situation selection. You always have this chance, not always, most of the time you have this liberty to select a particular situation and avoid some, right? So you can regulate your emotion at that first stage only, right? This is a model by Gross et al, right? So Gross is a name who is working very rigorously in emotion regulation. You can search their paper and read them if you are interested in that. And this model was given by that James Gross, right? So situation selection is the first stage where you can regulate your emotion, and somehow, if you are not able to select situation at the first time, then you have liberty to modify that situation. Even if you are not able to modify that situation, then you have full access to your attention, that you can distract your attention to something else. This stage is called attention deployment. I'll discuss one example with this framework, right? Attention deployment. Fourth stage is cognitive change, where you change the meaning of the situation, which is very much in your hand. Whatever negative, whatever wrong has done has been done to you, right? Through cognitive restructuring, through cognitive, you can say, uh, cognitive change, reappraisal, you can minimize the harmful impact on your mind, right? So let me remind you that whenever we try to regulate our emotions, we are doing it for ourselves only, right? So cognitive change is the fourth stage where you can do something, and even if you are not able to change it cognitively, you are not able to change its meaning, and you are feeling really bad about that incident, then last stage is that you can modulate your response. Here comes the expression or suppression, that how you are going to do it. So that's why I said that this slide should come first, that if expression and suppression question come at the last stage. Till cognitive change, you are not expressing yourself. You are doing things within your mind. right? Situation selection, situation modification, attention deployment. So you are doing in your mind. After cognitive change fails, you can say, right? After cognitive change, if you are not able to do anything, then comes the expression of suppression, right? So this is you can say these are five families of emotion regulation strategies. Situation selection. I will discuss in a bit more detail in later slides. Right. So okay, the first point only we will take. The defining feature of emotion regulation is the activation of a goal to influence the emotion trajectory. Right. So this is the core feature of emotion regulation, that activation of a goal to influence the emotion trajectory. So for example, if you wish to regulate your emotion, then first thing that come to your mind is a reminder, should be that a reminder that you are on a emotion regulation mode, right? For example, when you are doing some dieting, right, you are avoiding some certain kind of diets, and whenever you experience whenever you encounter a particular diet, then chances are that you say that I'm on dieting, I will not take sugar that much, right? So that one sentence will help you to control the urge to take that diet. So I'm dieting. Similarly, whenever you are in an emotion eliciting situation, ECS, we say, then the first thing that comes to your mind is I am on emotion regulation mode. So I'm trying to understand my emotions. So that is the first thing that will help you to regulate your emotion. You have to remind yourself that I am on emotion regulation mode. So activation of a goal activate हो गया ना उस time. Goal activate हो गया कि okay, somebody is saying something to me, but I need to react appropriately because I am watching my emotions. I am regulating my emotions, right? That is what we do. Otherwise, we cannot control what others says, isn't it? It's very difficult, right? What others say, they will say whatever comes to their mind. But we should not talk about uncontrollable things, right? They will talk as per their knowledge, their intelligence, their understanding, right? What we do is we can regulate that whole scenario, right? By understanding the problem, by understanding the issue which is creating all the problems, right? So this goal, activation of goal, sometimes it is the itself the desired endpoint. For example, my goal is that I may regulate my sadness. I want to regulate my sadness in order to feel less sad. Sometimes emotion regulation is instrumental in achieving something else. My boss is saying something to me, but I am regulating my emotion because I don't want to be fired. Right. So sometimes this emotion regulation can be a mean for achieving some other valued end. Right. So similarly, sometimes emotion regulation may be conscious. Right. Conscious means you are willfully inhibiting one's laughter at a child misbehavior. The child is misbehavior. From inside, you want to laugh at their mischievousness, right? But you are not laughing because that laughter may be a reward for your child to misbehave again and again, right? So that maybe this is an example of conscious emotional regulation. Sometimes this emotional regulation may go unconscious also. For example, when you quickly turn away from upsetting material, so that may be unconscious emotional regulation. So you can see that you are here in the extreme left, and you have two situations to choose from, right? So you decide to select situation 2 rather than situation 1. Believe me, more or less you have that choice to enter into this situation. If you know that by doing this, this will happen, right? You can always stop it, right? If you know that that going meeting that person will may cause something negative, something aversive, which may be very hurtful, very harmful for me, then why to do that, right? So sometimes it is not possible, right? I can understand sometimes it's not possible, but wherever possible you can regulate your emotion by avoiding those negative situations. So from S1 S2 I am choosing S2, right? So if by after entering into S2 again I have three options. You can modify situation, right? So you enter into a meeting which you are not liking it, right? So you can modify that situation by focusing by discussing something which is more relevant to you, right? So you are making that board meeting that you the perceived less valuable meeting by discussing something which is more valuable, right? So you are selecting S2Y. When you are discussing that one again, some problem might happen. Then there are five elements of that meeting which you can focus on. Then again, you are not selecting A1, A2, A3, and A5. You are selecting A4. Right. This is the element where you are focusing on. Right. Again, this element again can be given different meanings. Meaning one, meaning two, meaning three. Right. Meaning one you are not assigning. Meaning three you are not assigning. You are selecting meaning two. Right. After meaning two, you will decide what kind of response you are planning. Positive response, R plus, neutral, or R minus. So, though this is just a hypothetical scenario, you can imagine any situation where you will definitely find such options available to you. But need is thing is that you need to activate that goal that I am on emotion regulation mode. I'm dieting, right? I'm on emotion regulation mode, right? If you do that, chances are there that that things will be in your favor. And let me tell you, uh, you might have tried earlier also some sort of techniques to regulate your emotions, right? Uh, but it requires emotions are most difficult things to control, to regulate, right? It requires a consistent persistent efforts. How much time you just recall how much time you spent on changing a particular behavior, right? I think we don't wait for more than 1 week, right? Any behavior. If you're we here we are talking about emotion regulation. I mean regulating emotions so that subsequent emotional experiences can be altered. You take any behavior, right? How much time you spend on changing it, right? After 1 week we give up. Now tell me, any behavior which is learned, which is an outcome of 20 years, 25 years of practice, can we undo, can we unlearn that behavior in 1 week, in 15 days, in 1 month? And we are not patient enough to wait for at least some significant time, right? We give up. And that give up is making behavioral change most difficult thing, right? So be persistent whenever you're trying to change anything, especially in behavioral domain, anything. So before 1 month, nothing will work, right? At least. So there is no cutoff. Some say that 21 days, if you follow thing, then it will form an habit or something. It's not like that. It is individualized plan. Some may take 21 days, some may take 121 days, right? So here also, my intention is to just to realize that you have to, you can do things at various levels to do that, and that is the only way. That is the only way you can manage your emotions. Otherwise, focusing on one situation may not help properly, right? Another significant observation is that sorry, uh, your reaction your reaction is not coming from the situation or event, right? Your reaction in any emotional eliciting situation is not coming from situation or event directly. It is coming via your automatic thoughts. Now, what is this automatic thoughts? Try to recall whatever I say now. Uh, Automatic thoughts are like your reflex actions. Your reflex actions are not controlled by your brain directly, right? It is automatic reactions. So these automatic thoughts are also not directly controlled by your conscious mind. These are fixed in your mind, and these automatic thoughts are results of your previous 20 years, 30 years from your childhood, right? The kind of experiences you have, the kind of parenting you had, the kind of stresses you faced, all these things make these automatic thoughts. And once these automatic thoughts are in picture, then it will not listen to anything else. So whenever situation comes, your automatic thought will come. For example, I can't do it. How horrible it is. See, how dare you? You are saying this to me. These are all automatic thoughts, right? Because these are governed by your cognitive aspects. Those from psychology background, they can understand it very easily, that these automatic thoughts are let me show you next slide, that these automatic thoughts are results of your intermediate beliefs, your core beliefs, right? Intermediate beliefs are uh, influencing your automatic thoughts. Similarly, core beliefs are also defining your automatic thoughts. You need to identify this. The message from this slide is that you need to identify these automatic thoughts. What you say when you experience a negative situation, what your mind says to you, is it saying something positive or negative? So if it is positive, then chances are there that your core belief and intermediate beliefs are very healthy. Otherwise, your core beliefs and intermediate beliefs are not going to help you, right? So how these core beliefs and intermediate beliefs develops? Just in a simple language, that it is a result of your early experiences, what your parents told to you when you were young, what were your peers told to you, what you observed in the home, in the school, in your work environment, what others told you. If everybody is saying that you can't do anything, you can't do anything, you don't know how to behave, you don't know how to think, then there your core belief will be that I am stupid guy, right? Similarly, somebody would have, I am the superior, I am the most I am a superior person. That can also be a core belief. Both are wrong if these are not realistic ones. I am superior than others. That person will never take a word from others. How dare you say it to me? Right? Other person who is saying that I am stupid, automatic thought is that he is He knows I am stupid. That's why he's saying that. Then your reaction would be different, right? So these intermediate beliefs and core beliefs are influencing your automatic thoughts. Automatic thoughts are not under your control, right? To change automatic thoughts, first of all, you need to identify them. What you have to do, you have to literally write them. There's whenever that last incident happened of any negative emotion, for example, anger is the most one that we need to control, right? Other things are not that salient, isn't it? Right? Anger is the thing we say. Anger or sadness, you can say. Sadness is directly outcome of your automatic thought. Right? I can't do anything. I can't take it anymore. Right? He is saying it to me because I am worthless person. Right? He is saying this to me because I don't deserve this thing. So such kind of things are automatic thoughts are leading to emotion, and emotion further leads to subsequent behavior which may be as extreme as suicide. And so these are automatic thoughts we need to understand. So one slide more about this intermediate and core beliefs. Just to give you a specific example. So automatic thoughts are actual words or images that go through a person's mind, right? Are situation specific and may be considered the most superficial level of cognition. Superficial level of cognition because you are not interpreting that situation. Without interpretation, without realizing that thought is just popping. See, so these are automatic thoughts which are influencing your reactions. And from where these automatic thoughts are coming, I said intermediate beliefs. Intermediate beliefs further have three kinds of things: attitude, rule, or assumptions. Rules and assumptions. You all have different set of attitudes. Attitude is not that pride one. Attitude is your evaluation about things. Evaluation about things. For example, it is terrible to fail. It may be your attitude, your evaluation. That if somebody fails, then he or she is gone. It is terrible to fail. Who said that it is terrible to fail? Right? Some may have this attitude that failure makes a person more knowledgeable. That may be also an attitude. Right? Similarly, now you have to see that what kind of attitude do you have in your mind. Similarly, your rule may be give up if a challenge seems too great. Okay? So those who are having this rule that give up if a challenge seems too great, then what he will do if some difficult task comes to his way, he'll give up because that rule is guiding the automatic thought that give up if a challenge seems too great. For some healthy individual, it may be try if a challenge seems too great. Try and try hard if a challenge seems too great. That may be one rule. Similarly, assumptions are there. If I try to, if this may be someone's assumption that if I try to do something difficult, I'll fail. If I avoid something doing it, it will be okay. So better to avoid it. So if my assumptions are like this, so similarly, these assumptions will impact my automatic thoughts. Right? So these three intermediate beliefs are of a person who is feeling that I am incompetent person. See, core beliefs are very hard to change, very hard to change. But sometimes you have to start changing it, right? So first phase is identification of these core beliefs, these intermediate beliefs. What I have in my mind about the world outside, about other persons, about my interactions, about myself, what kind of attitude I have about myself. It should not be unrealistic. If you are superior, actually superior, you are much talented, then you should have this thing that I am superior. But if you are feeling superior because you were pampered like this only, that without any talent you believe that you are talented, then this is going to harm you or your partner, right? So these what I wanted to communicate through these three or four previous slides is that your emotions are result of your automatic thoughts. Your automatic thoughts are results of your intermediate belief and core beliefs. These core beliefs, no doubt, hard to change, but with efforts, with persistent efforts, these thoughts, these beliefs can be changed. And this is the only way, not the only way, I'm repeating itself, not the only way, this is one of the best ways to target your emotional experience and reactions, right? So let's see what else is there. Okay, let's take a situation to understand this emotional trajectory in a more in a more practical manner, right? So, for example, let's take a situation. Situation is my children misbehaving at a relative's house. That is very common phenomena I observe, right? So whenever my children goes to some relative's house, they start misbehaving. So this is the situation, right? So now I'm in that situation, right? So I'm in the situation, and this situation is true because my perception is also like this. My perception is that they are misbehaving. So that's why this situation becomes more relevant. Someone may not be noticing it because I noticed it. It's my perception they are misbehaving. Now I will do something. Otherwise, if my perception is something I'm not focusing on it, then it is not a relevant situation for me, right? So my situation is, my perception is they are misbehaving. Now I'll start appraisal. Appraisal is bad for me. You remember, bad for me, good for me, right? So my thing is bad for me. Why it is bad for me? Because there is a discrepancy between my representation of the world as it is, poorly behaved children, and my representation of the world as I would like it to be. So there is discrepancy. I want that my children should be well behaved, right? This is my ideal world. But what they are doing actually, they are not behaving properly. So my appraisal is bad for me. Now this bad for me will let me drive, will let me initiate something to change the situation, right? So this negative valuation of their misbehavior give rise to the action impulses. Now I need to do something because it is bad for me, right? So I will do something at experiential level. I will experience some bad thing, anger, right? Behavioral, I will ask them to do something, right? I will do something. I may punish them, right? And then physiological changes will also be there, right? So that overall, that will constitute my anger. So feeling of tightness, facial, vocal, and postural changes, increased heart rate. So this is would be the outcome. Right now, how to regulate? Uh, I try to make it appropriate example as per Grove's model. So let's see in the next slide. So in that case of my misbehaving children, these regulatory option might take the form of situation selection. For example, if I feel that they are misbehaving at relative house, how can I select the situation that asking my children if they would like to go outside to play. Okay, so my situation would be that I am talking to my relatives and they are they are playing outside, right? So if they are not ready to do that, situation selection is not possible, right? Then what can I do? Generally, what I do is taking out a board game for the children to play with. So something that they are engaged, something to do with which they are engaged, right? Similarly, third stage is attention deployment. Even if they are not able to, they are not liking this board game, right? And carom board or chess. Then what I can do is attention deployment, distracting myself by working out travel logistic for the next day, that how I will go. I'm trying to distract myself. That is one option. We can do that, right? After that, cognitive change may also happen. Cognitive change may be that earlier my appraisal was bad for me, that this experience is bad for me, right? So now cognitive change may be that they need to learn how to behave in such situations, and I can understand that how boring they must find our discussion of distant relations they have never met. So I'm trying to empathize now, right? So they are children. I have never taught them how to behave at a relative's house. Then how can I expect that they should behave properly? We don't. So even if we make them learn, we ask them to behave properly at relative's house, but they don't know what properly means, right? So cognitive change, now I am trying to pacify my anger, is that they are still children. They need to learn how to behave. They are still learning, and I will in next thing, I will make them learn that how to behave. So that is cognitive change. This will really take your anger at the lower level. So even if this cognitive change is not working, then what can I do? I am just biting my lip and trying to hide my anger. That this person who is training people to regulate their emotion, he is not able to regulate his emotion. Then what will I do? I am suppressing my emotions, right? So this response modulation can be done at the last stage, right? So I hope, I wish I had some time. No, it's 15 minutes only. So, uh, uh, ma'am, should I continue, or we can take some questions from?
Sir, I think we should first finish the presentation, then we can have a question answer session.
Okay, because this slides will take 20 more minutes. Is it fine?
Sir, kindly compile in 15 minutes.
Okay, okay, I'll try to do. I'll try to do.
Thank you, sir.
So now let's talk very quickly about this stress management, right? One reason for not able to perform optimally is my poor stress management, right? It's a very common term. You must have attended thousand number of lectures on it, huh? How to manage your stress. You might have heard YouTube videos or something like that, how to manage your stress. But have you ever realized that have you ever realized that how can how can this stress management work for a unique person? We all are unique, right? Our stresses are also unique, right? So my capabilities, my weaknesses are also unique. How one particular strategy, how a cookbook recipe can help me in my stress management, right? So I have concluded this thing that that stress management is a personalized plan, right? Stress management is a personalized plan. You need to do something very unique to manage your stress, right? So I'm not going into detail that what is stress. When demands are more than resources, right? When you perceive that my work demands or my other demands are more than what I can handle, then there will be a stress, right? And the misperception and the poor organization are the main culprit of your stress. Misperception and poor organization, right? And if if you see that people say that we want to get rid of all the stress in your life, right? Then this is not the right goal, right? Whenever if you are a living being, then you cannot get rid of all the stress in your life. So this is only one stage. This is only one group of people who don't have any stress. Otherwise, if you are living, then forget that you will get rid of stress in your life, and you should not get rid of stress. Again, I'm saying that stress is the one which is motivating us, right? So stress management, my thing is that it should always be a personalized plan, right? It's a 6-step process I'm going to narrate here. So it's a personalized plan. Mind this word, the personalized plan, because your capabilities, your stressors, your things are totally different from someone else. So a cookbook recipe may not help, right? So unless or until you are customer, you are it is customized plan as per your thing, right? So what should be? I'm not going to tell you the strategies. I'm going to tell you the plan. Step one is to manage your stresses, that you should identify your personal stressors, right? After that only you will come to know that what should be done, right? Identify your personal stresses. So your stressor may be, uh, for example, it may be coming from your work, from the classes, studying, relationship with the partner, relationship with family, relationship with friend. Each kind of stressor require a different set of management plan, right? Breathing exercise may not work in one of these areas. Relaxation exercises, only relaxation exercises may not work, right? You need a proper solution sometime, right? So avoiding escaping may not work. So first of all, you need to identify which thing is stressful to you. For example, appearance, finances, getting married, change to a new school, change in residence, mental health, something. What is your stress? First level, identify, right? Second is, we never do we never identify predisposing, precipitating, and reinforcing causes. Right? Predisposing factors, causes are those which make you vulnerable, which makes you weak, right? So predisposing causes may be your self-concept. As I earlier said, your self-concept may be negative. You are not having a realistic self-concept. If you are not having, then chances are there that you will experience stress. So you need to realize where the fault is, why you are experiencing this stress. I am discussing all these things because other things you might get from internet or something else, the interventional part, right? These things are, you need to understand that what kind of self concept do you have, types of experiences so far, right? Positive and negative, you have to identify, right? Frequency of stress experiences, as stress has accumulating effects, right? And many more personal issues. Chronic illness may be one of the factor which is causing stress, and lack of support system, right? Lack of support system is a reinforcing cause also. So for second step is, you need to identify what are the factors which are causing. These are predisposing causes, and precipitating may be the sudden loss, failure of effort, interpersonal conflict, or work family conflict. So whenever you are giving more importance to either life, I mean personal life or work, then chances are there that work family conflict will be there, and that means not a good sign for your stress management plan. Reinforcing causes are lifestyle, your habits, decision making, approach to resolve conflict, coping pattern, and lack of support system. So takeaway from this slide is that you should understand that my lifestyle, it is not just the event which is causing stress. It may be your lifestyle also that is adding. Reinforcing means adding that stress. Your habits, right? Your coping patterns. How do you generally cope? So only after realization of these causes, you should plan your stress management plan. Right? Third is organization and planning. I personally believe that most of the time stress is due to due to being unorganized or engaging in poor planning, right? And that often leads to frustration or crisis situation, which may lead to stress, right? For example, for example, you are going to a lecture, right, and you have a PPT with you, and suddenly there you find that there is no computer or laptop, right, or there is a sudden power cut is there, right? So if you don't, if you uh, planned earlier this distance possibilities also that this might happen, then there will be no stress, right? Simple example I'm giving, which we generally focus. So always have a plan B in your mind, right? So plan your time, make a schedule in advance, right? Everything should be set in advance. Establish your priorities, number one, number two, number three, right? And one very so many empirical findings are there that procrastination is the cause of most of your stress. Don't ever procrastinate. Don't put things to like organize beforehand, practice, and learn to delegate tasks. Only tasks which are beyond your limits. Right. So delegation, sometimes a person like me who's very work alcoholic, right? He or she wants to do everything on his own, and that may add to their stress. Try to delegate things, right? These lifestyle changes are common, right? What kind of whatever the nature of stressor is, these kind of things, these kind of activities may really help you, right? Adequate sleep, healthy balanced diet, physical activity. So give yourself my quiet time. So 10 minutes a day, where you are talking to yourself or you are not talking. Right, that is a really soothing experience for you. You can try it, and find a support system. Uh, we all have realized at one particular moment of time that it is the support which which really help us, right? So it may be instrumental support, direct help from the colleagues, emotional support, family members, close friends, informational support. So always find a support system. You should have always a backup that whenever you get into some problem, you can rely on a support system, right? That is why family is the most important support for our emotional things, right? And then these exercises are common. You need to identify which exercise will is going to help you, right? Meditation, deep breathing, yoga. You can do muscular relaxation therapy is also very good for those who constantly are in stressful situation or stressful workplace, right? So we don't have any time to explain it individually. But if you have if you want to know about any of these therapy in detail, you can send a question right now, right? And last thing is cognitive restructuring. The my area that I generally focus on this, that it is your cognitive change, it is your cognitive restructuring which can help you to uh, to change the stressful situation into a helpful situation, right? So last slide, that what cognitive restructuring means. We all have these three kind of thinking, right? We all have the view about self, about the world, and about the future. When you are negative on these three dimensions, then your life is going to be really stressful, right? For example, view about self is I am incompetent, I should have reacted differently, it is too much for me to handle, I feel damaged. So views about oneself. Similarly, negative views about the world. The world is a dangerous place. People cannot be trusted. Life is unpredictable. So these are negative views about the world. You need to restructure these statements in your mind, right? Similarly, views about future. You need to restructure the statement about the mind. That is how. See, last my last submission is that try to understand your mind, how it is working. Your mind is guiding you through certain database. These are all database that I am incompetent, world is dangerous, people are selfish, life is unpredictable. These are databases. To change your behavior or to change the orientation, you need to restructure this database. Right? That is what my submission is, that try to restructure this database so that subsequent reaction can be changed. One person who is feeling I am incompetent will react differently as compared to the person who is feeling I am competent. So what is the difference? That database is different only, right? So with this, so thank you so much for listening to me patiently, and I hope I have not crossed the time. Right? Thank you so much. Yes. Any question, please?
Sir, this is excellent session to foster global competencies. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
We are too lost that we have to regain energies, that we have to perform other duties also. Excellent session, because although you are not in a condition to deliver for 2 hours, still you devoted time. Thank you so much. There are some queries, sir. We would like to mention some.
Yeah,
One
sure.
regarding what is biofeedback.
Okay. So can I stop sharing now so
Yes,
that I
sir.
can?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. The screen is not visible. Okay. Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. You are audible and you are visible also.
Okay. Okay. You both are not visible to me.
Yes.
So still my
So you
screen
are
is on. Okay. Okay. No issue. Okay. What is biofeedback? Biofeedback is a technique in which we try to make a person competent in the feeling. It's basically feedback about my biological systems, right? So what we do is, the person who is feeling stressed, right, we place him on a in front of a instrument, right, that is biofeedback instrument, which monitor their some bodily parameters, for example their bp, their heart rate, their respiratory, their pulse rate. So their electrodes are placed on their fingers or wherever it is appropriate, and then they are live. They are monitoring their parameters. That their my BP is this, my respiratory system is this. Then, while monitoring only, we we help them to think about something positive, right? To we counsel them during that only, and when we counsel them, they do something, some exercises, they see that their graph is cooling down, their bp is getting reduced, their respiratory system is getting into normal position, right? So they are getting biological feedback live on the screen. How it help is, it gives them confidence that if at this moment I can control my biological parameters, then at home also, at workplace also, if I try, I can calm myself down. This is the confidence is gained through this biofeedback training. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, excellent, sir. Sir, my next query, which the attendee have asked, that how CBT, that is cognitive behavioral therapy, help in emotional regulation.
When I discuss automatic thought, intermediate belief, and core belief, CBT helps in changing these automatic thoughts, intermediate beliefs, and core beliefs. And when these automatic thoughts are changed, modified, then these automatic thoughts will help me to understand that situation in a more appropriate manner, and then I react appropriately in emotional situations. So CBT's cognitive behavioral therapy is totally focusing on these three elements, you can say: automatic thought, intermediate beliefs, and core beliefs. All the procedures, all the activities that we do in cognitive behavioral therapies are targeted toward modifying this automatic thought, intermediate belief, and core belief. Let me give 1 minute, if we have, that how we do it. We ask our clients to note down their automatic thoughts, right? We identify them automatic thought. Then if automatic thought is actually irrational, some automatic thought may be rational also. If these are irrational, then we try to change it. Change it we change it through questioning only. Socratic questioning, we call it. That, for example, someone is saying that nobody loves me. So we ask them, okay, nobody loves you. So, so in your family also nobody loves you. What is the evidence that nobody loves you? So who hates you? So something through Socratic questioning, we try to change this automatic thought. When he realizes, oh no, my mom loves me, my father loves me, the rest of the outside people are not liking me. Otherwise, my family is liking me. So he realized that my automatic thoughts are irrational. So that is how we change these core beliefs, intermediate beliefs, and these beliefs help me in reacting appropriately in any emotional situation.
Thank you, sir, for this answer. And my next question is how EQ and IQ are related to one another.
Sorry.
EQ, that is emotional quotient, is related
Yes.
to intelligent quotient.
Yes. Uh, Before 90s, IQ was considered the best predictor of our performance and of our success, right? But IQ is for now these days EQ is considered more important than IQ. Why? Because IQ is mainly is your intellectual capacity, right? But you see in real life situation, your intellectual capacity is not helping you totally. For example, in an interview, you know each and everything. Declarative knowledge is there, procedural knowledge is there, you know each and everything. But once you get nervous in an interview, all these intellectual things have gone, isn't it? So EQ, your emotional stability, your emotional intelligence, that is nothing but just the awareness about your emotion, ability to control your emotions, right? The emotion regulation may be linked to EQ only, right? So that factor is related to IQ in this sense, that you can use your IQ only if your EQ is higher. Otherwise, only IQ will not help you in your success. So interpersonal relationships, IQ will not measure this ability to have good interpersonal relationships. It will not measure the ability to regulate your emotions. So,
Sir, are there any tools to measure EQ? Like for IQ, tools are there.
yes. There are tools. Uh, there are two types of approaches to measure EQ. One measure is that they say that it is an ability. EQ is an ability like IQ. Second is they say that it's a trait, it's a personality trait, it's a tendency. So those who say that it is an ability, they measure it with some other tail. So, for example, Baron scale is there, and many other scale are there. So it depends on the approach you are thinking. If you are thinking that this is an ability, ability means you don't have control over it. I mean, it's like IQ only, right? So you cannot increase it. So other approach is saying that it is my personality, it's my tendency to behave in a particular way. So those approaches have different set of measures. We have self-report measures of emotion regulation. Oh, sorry, EQ. bar on, and some other scales are there.
Sir, another question is, do emotions are hereditary or only environmental factors control the emotions, or we inherit emotions from parents also?
We inherit these emotion from our ancestors, primal, from our these primates, from where we come.
Monkeys, chimpanzees.
Monkeys, yes, chimpanzees, monkeys, because these emotions are for our survival purposes. These are emotions are biological in nature, but
Okay.
emotional expression, emotional experiences and regulation we learn after our birth. For example, our facial expression also, no? If you notice that some facial expression are linked to our basic emotions. Okay, let me clarify in a more detail. There is one theorist, Paul Ekman. He says that there are 6 or 7 types of basic emotions. These emotions, for example, sadness, anger, fear, contempt, right? These are basic emotions which we inherited from our primate ancestors, monkeys, chimpanzees. These emotions help those in surviving at their time, and still it is there in our genes. It is still there in our genes that are helping me. For example, when we feel angry, let me give an example. When we feel angry, we make a face like an animal only. You know, we clench our teeth, because at that time the clenching of teeth is required to make other animal fearful, right? But still we are focusing now. We don't bite anyone. Then why we are using that gesture? So from such observations, they say that these expressions, these basic emotions, help our ancestors to deal effectively with their environment. But still, the trace is still there in our thing. So we don't bite anyone now these days, right? But still, when we feel angry, we clench our, we make our teeth in a particular position, right?
Thank you, sir. Last question is that so many attendees have asked this question: how to handle negative emotions? Your mind says yes, but your brain says yes, but you are not able to control your emotions or emotional situation.
Uh,
Some tips to control the same.
my whole lecture was directed toward this only. That
Yes.
first of all, I request all of you to for 10 to 15 days, just monitor your emotional experiences. Just note down, just note down a few things that what is triggering the event. For example, at home, if you are fighting with your partner or with your kids, what was the trigger at that time, right? And what you felt when you were encountering this, right? And what was your reaction to that event? You just note it down. You have to note it down. Let me be very clear about it, right? Because unless or until you note it down, you will not realize where your mistakes or where your things are, right? So, for example, sometime you will realize that my communication was not proper. That is why I could not control my emotion, right? So, communication, for example, we generally don't communicate properly at home. So, for example, if uh, I ask my wife that आज अभी खाना नहीं बनाया, सपोज ये एक ट्रिगर था लड़ाई का, ठीक है, आज खाना नहीं बनाया, तो उसका सिंपल आंसर क्या हो सकता था कि नहीं नहीं बनाया, है ना? लेकिन आगे से जवाब क्या आता है कि आपको दिखता नहीं है मैं सुबह से कितना काम कर रही हूँ, बच्चों ने मेरे को परेशान करके रखा है, ठीक है, मैं आपको फ्री बैठी दिख रही हूँ अभी। तो मेरे कहने का ये मतलब है कि ये 4 स्टेटमेंट बोलने की बजाय अगर हम आंसर ये दे देते कि नहीं अभी नहीं बनाया, तो वो जो इश्यू बनना था वो शुरू ही नहीं होना था, है ना? ऐसे ही वाइफ ने हस्बैंड को बोल दिया, हस्बैंड ने 10 चीजें आगे बता दी, तो ये कम्युनिकेशन की वजह से प्रॉब्लम जो है वो ट्रिगर जो है वो बढ़ गया। अदरवाइज सिंपल एक सेंटेंस में आंसर था कि नहीं अभी नहीं बना है, ठीक है, तो हुआ क्या, 10 स्टेटमेंट आगे से आ गई। अब जब 10 आई हैं तो इधर से भी 20 जाएंगी, ठीक है, तो ऐसे ऐसे होगा। तो यू हैव टू मॉनिटर बट माइन्यूटली, you have to monitor what is going on. First thing is that you have to identify these things. The second thing, agar if you ask me that what are the specific how to manage your emotion, again I am saying that uh, you have to remind your mind time and again that you are on emotion regulation mode, right? You have to regulate, you have to remind yourself that you are on emotion regulation mode, and you are learning how to control emotions. And don't use this word control. Whoever is listening, please don't use this word control, right? So it is also giving negative feedback to your mind. Your mind is getting information from your speech only, right? Don't use this word control. You say I am trying to regulate this emotion, I am trying to make it more effective. My emotional experiences, I'm trying to make it more effective, I'm learning. Third thing is, don't ever think that in a month or 2 months you will be able to regulate your emotions. It will take time, right? So be patient, be consistent in whatever you are trying to do, right? So start with these things, right? When you will experience these things, now you will realize that okay, I'm understanding where the fault is, and when you are able to identify the problem, where you find the identify the problem, you are we all are cognitively well equipped to deal with the situation. Let me tell you, we all are cognitively well equipped to deal with any kind of situation. The only thing is that we don't know where the problem is. And awareness, as His Holiness Dalai Lama also said this, awareness that what is going on actually. When you come to realize that what is going on, find the solution. That is my solution. Okay.
Sir, participants wants practical session also.
Practical session means
For controlling emotions, some sessions.
you can always come to IIT Ropar for practical sessions.
Practical session.
You are most welcome. And
Thank
actually, very good observation from this this participant, that we just today I just sensitize about the issue, right? Actual practice happen in the counseling room only.
you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your wonderful session, sir. For
Thank
this session has actually fostered global competencies, or will lead to foster global competencies, which is a theme of our FDP. Thanks a lot from all the participants, from all the attendees, from the organizers, from everyone.
Thank you so
Ma'am,
much.
over to you, ma'am. Over to you.
Honorable Dr. Parwinder Singh, the most valued invited resource person. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, as we all we see that you are, in spite of having the cervical problem, so you all the way you came from your hometown and to your workplace, IIT Ropar, to deliver this lecture without any obstruction, right? So, sir, you made it that there should not be any obstruction. So that shows that how dedication, I mean, that shows the commitment and the dedication to your work, sir. So, you very well sensitized us about the role of psychological variables in realizing one's potential in optical performance, motivation, and their controlling factors. And sir, you in the start of the session, you rightly said that most of the times we are biased and prejudiced also while making some decisions. okay, and that may harm us. So we should not be, we should be aware of this, that we means, or you can say we should not be like this. But this also we have to, this also need a regulation. I mean, this prejudice and the bias, that is also need the regulation. So this lecture was very inspiring, sir. Very interesting and very much informative, sir. Uh, so once the few, then there are a number of takeaways from your lecture. There are number of, but a few which I have noted, which I can say which made effect on me, and that is awareness itself is a strategy. So this is, and again, the stress management is a personalized plan, right? And the misperception, and the poor planning. Okay, so we should always plan our things in advance, and otherwise we should always have the plan B. And the others are we all need emotional support, so we should all keep warmth in our relationships, and we should continuously nourish our relationship. Okay, and then there is a uh, resetting of our brain database.
Yes.
And also there one more is that ES is more important than IQ. Okay,
Yes.
that is very important. So, sir, from um, I, on behalf of my college management, IQAC, the coordinator, and the whole teaching fraternity, which is connected live on this platform. So, sir, we are grateful. We are highly thankful for this wonderful. We are thankful for the gracious lecture you have given, the wonderful lecture, the informative lecture, and moreover the interesting lecture. Thank you very much. And you satisfied the queries of the participants very elaborately. So, sir, thank you, hearty thanks to you, sir. So, in spite of this situation, in spite of your this cervical problem, so, sir, you gave a wonderful lecture, sir. So,
Thank you
highly
so much,
inspired,
ma'am. Thank
highly
you so
inspired.
much. I now I am considering my lecture successful when you are noting it down and you narrated it so well. Now I am satisfied that I have done something.
Yes.
So that is the thing I am taking it away.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Sir, for formal thanks, I would like to invite Professor Gurlal Singh, IQAC member.
Evening, everyone. On behalf of Management Committee, Principal Ma'am, and others who are attending this session, I would like to thank you, Dr. Parwinder Singh ji. Thank you for speaking to us. We are very grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Please accept our sincere appreciation for the outstanding lecture you deliver. I would like to thank you on behalf of all who are attending today's session. We enjoyed every minute of your lecture. We are lost for the right adjective to describe how much we enjoyed your lecture today. Thank you for the enlightenment, sir. Once again, a million sincere thanks to you, sir, and thanks to all who are attending this today's session of FDP and given their valuable time. In the end, I would also like to thank Principal Ma'am who initiated this FDP for teaching community. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I also so I'm grateful to you, ma'am, and
So
Sarpanch ma'am, and
we are grateful to you, sir. We are
yeah,
highly grateful to you, sir.
yeah.
We are highly grateful to you. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much
much,
once again, sir.
and I hope in future also we will be in touch.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We also need your consent, sir, in future that you will deliver. Thank you.
Tomorrow we shall meet at 4 o'clock with two sessions. One is from Professor Rakhaji and the second session is from Ma'am Pritinder Kaur. Thank you all. Thanks a lot. Feedback form has been shared. Kindly fill the same and submit. Thank you.